You're the one who goes through friends like underwear, honey.
Little store, never expected to be on TV because I'm tough. Like these women carry on over nonsense. Where can we start? Do I have to do the whole thing over? Hi, everyone. Welcome to my first Patreon Get Real with Kim D. So I have one of my besties here, Lorraine. She's going to be asking me some questions about me. And then after that, we got a lot of tea for you, which she's drinking right now. And my makeup artist who I talk all the time about, who I love, and we're friends also, Donna, is sitting in because she just wanted to see what goes on. She already called me a natural, and I know I am. So anyway, with that said, Lorraine Pooh, what do you got for me today?
Hi, Kim. I'm so happy to be here. This is like so exciting. So the first question I have for you is, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Elmwood Park. It was wonderful childhood. Like growing up there is fantastic. And, I still have a lot of friends from Elmwood Park. Love it. And I think some people that are on the show, some newbies, are from Elmwood Park too. We'll talk about later.
Okay. And then when did you open up Posh, and where did the name come from?
Okay. Well, the name came, I wanted POSH because I like Posh Beckham, Victoria Beckham. She's my fave. And the word posh was taken. So me and my friend sat on my garage floor and we kept typing in the letters POSCH, and finally when we typed in POSCHE, it came up, and that's how Posh, became the name. And my son, he was homeschooled a little bit, and when he got out of school, he was going back to regular school. I walked past a store that was going out of business, and I called them up and I said, I want to open up a store. We went in, got an architect, and Posh began. It was only 500 square feet, and it was a little diamond in the rough.
We got some gorgeous stuff out of that diamond.
Oh, yeah, and there was some crazy things happening there.
Okay, and then tell me, how did you get on RHONJ?
RHONJ. Well, I was at work one day, and who comes walking in but Danielle Staub? And she was hanging out with Jacqueline. Jacqueline had been at the cleaners, so they were calling each other back and forth. She loved all the clothes. And then all of a sudden, she starts telling me that she's on this TV show, which no one knew about. It was their first, their first one was 6 episodes. So I knew nothing about it. She was calling them all animals, trying to tell me about when Teresa flipped the table. And I'm like, what is going on here? But they liked the clothes. And then Jacqueline came in. And then from there's another story as to how I got on the show. But that's who I first met. First was Danielle, and then Jacqueline. And I became friends with everyone.
And there you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then we have some other exciting news about the book. What's going on with your book?
Okay. Well, the book was on a pause. We're halfway through. But I have a new publisher, Julie. She's also my PR. We're going to finish the book, hopefully, by the end of the year. That's what we're pushing for. And the name of the book is My Life with the Big Boys. Everyone knows the little tagline that I had when I called Joe a little midget and told him I play with the big boys. And that got me my biggest contract on The Housewives. I did get paid, by the way. And I just love saying that because I do play with the big boys. And I did grow up with the big boys.
You certainly have.
Yes.
And then you mentioned a little bit before, who else is from Elmwood Park?
Well, John Fuda is from Elmwood Park. And I think the first Fuda tile store was in Elmwood Park, if I can recall. I could be wrong. Don't call me a liar, but I think that's where it started. And he's from Elmwood Park, and we've had a discussion about it.
Okay. Is there anything you want to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into any of the juicy? No?
I don't know.
You want to wait for the book?
I really don't know.
You want to wait for the book?
Yeah, I think that what we're going to do here is we're going to put some excerpts of the book up on Patreon as we're continuing to write it, and definitely going to be telling stories about my life and what's going to be in the book. We'll get through that. We have, different podcasts. There'll be different reasons why I'll be bringing up, what I've been through and what I've done and why I feel I can give advice. Because I think part of this Patreon of what I'm doing is going to be giving advice. I feel like I've had a lot of life experiences. So, if anyone has any questions, like I said, feel free.
All right. And knowing you for as long as I have, you've always dressed exquisite. Can you tell me where that came from? Like, why is it so important to you, and how did that all start?
this goes back to my childhood, which again we'll get into the book. And I'm going to put a story. I think I'm going to put a little story up on Patreon tonight. When I was a little girl and I moved from one house to another in Elmwood Park, I swear to God, I didn't have play clothes. I had all fancy dresses. I was always at the Copa and all
Believe
this.
it.
So I'm really little and I don't have play clothes. So I wore the same things a couple days, the same thing. And a little boy says to me, how come you wear the same thing 2 days in a row? And I was like devastated. I'm like, I wore the same. Like, you're little, you don't know. So I, went to my mother, said, Mom, I think I need play clothes. And I got my play clothes. And then a monster. And I'm just obsessed with clothes. I mean, that's one of my vices. I love fashion.
And you
But
always
that's
say,
like the sad story about it.
but you always say you're a little bit rock and roll.
A little bit rock and roll. And that was Elmwood Park too, So Elmwood Park, we were a little bit rock and roll.
And now you're just loving all
Doing whatever. And let me stop you for a minute. We had speaking of rock and roll, we had a rough couple weeks. But I have to say that the love and all your comments on Patreon and on my IG, I mean, it's really amazing. It really is amazing. I never knew how many followers I had on Patreon. I never knew that, just so everyone knows. I never knew. Now I'm learning more. I'm not very tech savvy. People are asking me to put the link to the Patreon in my bio. It's now there. Okay. I had to have Andrew, and Andrew that runs the studio, owns the studio, do it for me. So if anyone's thinking about how did I get myself kind of into this, it's because I'm not tech savvy. I kind of don't want to be. I don't even have a laptop. And so, but here we are. And I'm kind of proud of myself that I made the jump. I made the move, right? Which, Lorraine,
dying you for to do it for the longest time.
What happened when we were in American Dream?
We were at American Dream, and forgive me for not remembering anyone's names.
Yes.
But we were in meeting.
It was a while ago.
Yeah, we were. It was right before the last fashion show, but
Okay.
we were talking to the woman who does all the promotion
Right.
and takes care of everything at the mall, and she offered you
Free studio.
free studio time, and I was like, Kim,
Kim,
you have to do it. And you said, no, I'm with the podcast and I have to stay there. And I said, well, you're a better person than me because I think you should be on your own.
Thank you. That's another little tidbit, So like I said, we're going to give you a little bit at a time, about what took place. There is a text. When I walked away from the other podcast, there is a text as to why. That will be up on Patreon, too, that you can see. So all the people that are subscribing to me, you will get to see all the intimate details, because I don't think it's fair that you guys are paying and to listen to me, that everyone else is going to get to see it. Of course, I'll tell everyone. I'm going to do some Instagram stories, kind of what happened. I want my story out, but you're going to have the inside scoop. Okay, so maybe what I think I want to do, take a little drink of water if you don't mind, because this is going to be fun. I'd like to talk about some of the names that the person that ran the other podcast has been calling me over the last couple of weeks. Some I might agree with, some I won't. So anyway, I was called scum. I was called nobody likes Kim D. I'm a liar. I made him bash Melissa and Margaret. I brought Siggy on, and I brought politics into his podcast. Now, the last I looked, I don't know, Donna and Lorraine, I live in the United States. We have freedom of speech, correct?
So.
There's also texts from this Kumasikyam that begged me to get Siggy on. We all know she is political, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, that I'm not going to bring politics into mine, but he knew bringing that on. But of course, it was my fault. Also, remember, all people are sending this to me because they're disgusted. He said that I should have paid him and that maybe he'll sue me. So I'm just going to put this out there that I'm the one with the big dog, the pit bull, and he's ready and he's going to back me. So anyone that wants to bring anything on, bring it on. Okay. but that's what's been said about me. And I think I took the high road, but that's not in my makeup.
No,
I
it's
don't,
a sin.
that's not in my makeup.
It's
I
a
don't
sin.
take the high road. When somebody attacks me, I attack harder. So this is what's been going on for the past, and I'm sure there's so many more, and I'll go through them as people send me what he's saying and what he's doing. So I don't think I called him any names. I don't remember.
You
No.
texted him beautifully and
Right.
said that you were leaving.
Yep.
There was no ill.
No.
And you even spoke to him. You texted him a few
We
times
have.
after that, and everything was fine.
Everything
and then all
was
of a
fine.
sudden, we saw all this.
Right. So
Shocking.
now I also want to get into a little bit of a story about Jill Zarin's party. So before I sent the text to this person that I was leaving the podcast, I get a phone call from a very close friend of mine, Jen, who owns Dolce Aesthetics. And she was very upset. She said that this Kumasikam, okay, what's his name in Italian? That's what I'm going to call him.
I can't even repeat that.
Called her a number of times and text her. Can you please read the text? All
I
right.
certainly can. Starting from July 27th at 5:09, the first text was, call me.
And
No,
this
it was-
is from Kumasikam to Jen.
To Jen. The next one was, so how do I get in?
From Kumasikam to Jen.
Then the same day at 9:10 p.m., should we get together? Like, how do I get in? Kim isn't going.
The scum that nobody likes that made him bash Melissa and Margaret is not going. So he had a problem getting in. So let me tell you what happens after he gets in. My friend Jen, lovely girl, says, come on, let's take a couple pictures. Let's take not one picture. He ran around the whole place and went to every housewife he could find and took pictures with them and never even took a picture with her and completely ignored her. So he used her to get in, of course, through my name. He did get a text from her that I wouldn't read. Okay. She's coming on. She'll tell her story. So, I think that for now, we've covered enough of that and the text between us. Unless, Lorraine, you could think of something else about that person for now, because I'm sure there's going to be more stories. And once again, I'm not going to be the bigger person. Just so everyone knows, when someone hits me, I knock them down. Okay? So, and I'm not concerned. Also want to talk about something else. I have asked fans, and I don't even want to call them fans, Patreons, I consider them all my friends, I want to interview you. We were going to do a contest. I'm not going to do that. You're all going to get a chance to do it. I'm going to be on this podcast for years and years and years. So I'm going to have you all on. I don't care if you like me or not. If you want to come on here and you want to blast me and say, how dare you say this about this one? And we don't like you for this. And why is it that you can talk smack, but then no one can talk smack about you? I love it. I love the smack. I love when people talk shit. I mean, Donna and Lorraine are very sensitive, And I always tell them, right, Donna? I say, stop being so sensitive. Relax. It's all good. Yeah. It's all good. So I'm not sensitive. So you want to rip me to pieces? Let's rock and roll. I'll do it. And I'm not going to even be mad at you. I will not be mad. So I think that's one of the rants. I said I was on fire yesterday. I'm going to have my moments. There's other things that get me riled up, which I don't know what the next thing on our agenda is. Lorraine had to take notes for me.
Yeah. Do you want to go into some of the new, some of the things you heard, or you want to go into anything past?
Okay. So no, you know what? I'll go into a couple things. I know what I want to talk about. So you were with me. So a couple weeks ago, we went to Aldo's, one of my favorite places, Panavino. Lorraine, myself, was Helena at the bar. And the bartender, who I happen to like a lot, he's a lovely guy. He's like, Melissa Gorga's outside. I'm like, oh, she really don't like me too much. It's okay. Don't worry about it. So, of course, what did I want to do? I wanted, when I left, I didn't go in the same door. Go out the same door I went in. I wanted to walk past. I walked past and I look to my left and I see Melissa, Rachel Fuda, and Margaret. And what happened then? What happened then, Lorraine?
Well, I walked out behind you and Helena, and all of a sudden, Kim's swag, her gait, started to change a little bit. And I'm like, what's going on? So I look over to the left. Now I don't know these women.
Right.
I recognize Melissa, but I had
Yeah.
no idea who the other two women
Right.
were. But I heard Melissa say, "That's her. Yeah, that's
That's her.
her." And then I realized that Kim's swag was because she was.
Because I saw them. And I
she
was
saw
looking
them
for
and
them.
playing, yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
No, you don't hold any grudges. There's no.
I'm not going to lie. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. So, there's been a couple phone calls that have been taking place, which I can't reveal. There have been texts that I will reveal because it's all good. Okay. Then my next little road trip was on a Sunday. Lorraine, you did not join me. It was Helen and Kristen, which you're all asking me that you will want to meet my besties. I promise you they will all be around this table. So I go to Columbia Inn because I want to see the pizza. Like, I want to see, what is this?
All places I did.
What the hell are they? We're going
love
back.
pizza.
What is going on with this pizza? So I go in, and I didn't know if it was the owner or the manager. I think I got my heel caught. And they're like, "We want to thank you so much for sticking up for us." I'm like, "You listen to we love you. We listen." I go, "I'm going to have my own podcast. Will you come on?" Of course we would come on. So of course I have to confirm that. They bought me dinner along with my friends. We didn't have that much, we weren't drinking or anything like that, but it was very lovely of them. And the place is beautiful. I highly recommend that. And I'd really like to get them on. And I'll have more information on that the next time too, because a friend of mine, Daisy, was there the night after and she met the owner. And he told me a couple of people were banned from his restaurant. I'll let you know.
What was that?
I'll let you know next time.
To be continued.
I'll tell you about 2 people next time, but maybe on Patreon tonight, I'll give you the other names of the couple. There's 2 couples. They're banned. Can't imagine why. I'm going to try to straighten it all out, though, because I think they should all get together. Not the Gorgas, but I think Luis Relajas and Teresa should get together with the owner of Columbia Pizza and sell these ovens. They should do a 50-50 split. What's the big deal? Go in there, apologize. I feel Luis Relajas was duped. He didn't know. I really do. I believe he was duped. And I think we should tell that story. Let's see. So anyway, that's my run-ins and with, some of the people, and I will have some of them on. And I have to tell you, I got a lovely phone call from Kathy Wakili.
Oh.
She might even be using the studio with Andrew. She was not happy with what's going on with the other podcast.
Yeah,
and she said to me, you were the one with the information. It was all about you, and you shouldn't have been treated that way. And I said, I know. I know. Thank you. And she said, I just am so happy for you. And she's going to do a walk-on. She's a very good friend of mine. And so, yeah, it was the phone calls that I'm receiving from all over, the love and the support, because people should not be treated that way. I don't know. I'm doing I don't know if you're going to probably hear this after, because this airs September 9th, but maybe we'll put a little teaser up. And I'm going to be with Dana Wilkie at 1:00 on Friday on YouTube Live. And we're going to talk about what Kumasikyam did between the 2 of us. Okay? A little fib on telling her that I didn't want any part of her. And wasn't true. Kind of gatekeeping me. So we'll talk about that too. But we, Lorraine, should we get into the baby mama situation?
We can. But I also just want to say just a couple
Okay.
things.
Okay.
People ask me all the time, like, what's with Kim? I go, what do you mean? They go, well, she always looks so mean. But every time, like, if you meet her, like, she's so nice. And I say, well,
Really?
there's TV. I said, but Kim, I bring people to your store or whatever, and after they meet you, they always say, oh, she's so lovely. I'm like, well, that's what I've been telling you. They think because you're a
Yeah.
villain on the TV.
Well, yeah, I was the villain, and I always said I'd rather be the villain than the victim. But you can get a bad at it. You really can. And some of the things I did because I chose to do, and other things was because people did things to me first. Someone said to me, please, on Patreon, remember what the Gorgas called you, all the filthy names. I will not forget that. That will be brought up. We don't want everything to be negative. We want it to be positive. But the names will be brought up, just like I read these names. Maybe we'll do a list of the names that they called us, and we'll address those too, since
There's a list.
anything you want, I'm going to do. Donna, do you think I'm mean when I'm out?
Not at all.
How do I act when I'm out?
Funnest.
Oh my God, we laugh.
And do people feel uncomfortable walking up to me?
Not
Oh
at
my
all.
Okay.
Always friendly, taking a picture, talking.
Right.
Always super sweet and fun.
Thank
Yes,
you.
love you.
And here's a difference between me and some of those people that we're talking about. I have friends since I was 8 years old. I have friends since I was 12. I'm friends with almost all the people that I graduated with on Facebook. They're my major supporters. They love me. And I treat people the way they treat me. I'm an open book. I don't lie about anything. Someone said on my Instagram, I wanna join Patreon, but please don't lie. And someone came to my event, she doesn't lie. So when I say something's my opinion, it's my opinion. When I say it's fact, it's fact. Because either I've seen it with my own eyes or I believe the person who told me, So I wanted to give you a little scoop, and then we'll get back to a couple of the things that Lorraine has to say. I've been seeing a lot of Fessler filming. And I reached out to a few of the people. They're all talking to me now. And I found out that Fessler is playing both sides. She's jumping ship a little bit. Yeah, she's playing in the other people's sandbox. And then I said, so is that the reason why she gets more time on camera? And they said, a rat always gets more time. So just as everyone's asking me, why is Fessler there? Well, clearly they must like her, But yeah, she's playing both sides. And I think that's what she did to my friend Siggy when last season she said how she hated her. And then the next day she sent a text to Siggy. I love you. They cut it wrong. They didn't do it. And if Siggy sent me the text and I put it on.
We watched it.
It's disgraceful. And that's kind of what Margaret did to Siggy too. So you just don't know. You don't know coming into these shows who you can believe, who you can't. You're always on guard. I didn't care. I wasn't on guard, but you do get the tap on the shoulder. You do, sometimes you walk into things and you're a little unnerved because you think that people, listen, they wanted Joe Gorga to fist fight me. And I was a little unnerved by that. I never fought a man before. I fought women, but I never fought a man. But, I had a vodka and I was ready to go. And he didn't fight me. So, anyways, okay, Lorraine, I go on my rants. So I hope that you don't mind that. And then I have asked Lorraine to get me back on track. So, Lorraine, can you get me back on track?
People want to know, who did you know from the other housewives that you knew the longest? I know you were friends with Dolores for years.
Oh, okay. So Dolores, I've known the longest. Then, of course, it was Danielle and Jacqueline at the same time. And then Teresa and I became very, very close friends. Lorraine knows because Lorraine was at Posh with me a lot, the original Posh. And she had admitted to Siggy that she had called me 17 times a day. And I loved the phone calls. I wasn't unhappy with the phone calls. I loved her kids. And I'm not a big kid person. I don't hate kids. I like my dogs. And we were really close. And, a couple things happened. We're getting past it. We haven't spoken. And we did text. And I had someone reach out to me and say, oh, just because she texts you, don't go being on Teresa's side. Don't go there. Okay, so with that said, I told her, remind me to do this. I am coming on this podcast clear and neutral. Okay? I'm going to start neutral. Now, if they tick me off, if someone ticks me off, I'm going to talk about it. If I don't agree with what someone's doing, like Fessler right now, I'm going to talk about it. The fact that she said she effed Gandolfini was a disgusting, filthy, dirty, married to a lawyer, talked like that. Not crazy about her. But like I said, we'll be neutral. We'll be neutral. I'm taking a drink of water. Go ahead, Lorraine. It's all yours.
Now I think you can get into the baby mama.
I've been seeing this crazy stuff. I saw this article written about John Fuda. He's this, he's no good, he was in jail, he was this, he was that. And I was like, excuse me? And I sent it to Lorraine and I sent it to all my friends. I said, is there something wrong with me? I think that John Fuda is a wonderful husband. He's a wonderful father. He raised his son since he was 2 years old, basically on his own. I think he met Rachel when he was 5. I could be wrong, but I think so. I think Rachel has done a wonderful job. I think they make a great couple. I like them a lot. So I did a deep dive into this baby mama. because they were saying justice for Brittany. That's her name. Why do I have to have justice for Brittany? A woman who has been in and out of jail since this boy's been 2 years old. I found out she never once took them to court, never once to try to see her son, never once. She chose drugs, crack, and I'm not sure, but I read something about prostitution, okay, that there's a file on that. So I want people in the media to understand, and this is where Lorraine's going to come in, to understand what happened when they reached out to this girl. Brittany she was in federal prison for a long time, and then she finally made it to the halfway house. So there are restrictions. There are restrictions that what you can and cannot do. So Lorraine, can you please say what she did, and then I'll tell them what happened. Okay, so Brittany, the baby mama, by doing this article and by texting people that are in the media, something happened to her.
Right.
And
So
we haven't heard from her since June, and this is why.
Right. Well, when you're in a halfway house, there's violations. You have to follow the rule. You have to be home by a certain time. You can't talk to anybody that's been in prison before. So they're very strict.
Right.
So she violated her stipulation. She did interviews, and they came to the halfway house. They take her back, and now you have to finish out your sentence that you were given.
Right. So Brittany, because of the press reaching out to her, the articles she did on John, not anything to do with John, he did not do this, is back in federal prison. Okay? So whoever thought they were doing like something, whatever, to attack John, this girl's back in federal prison. So really, who wins in this? Does John's son win in this? Does John and Rachel win in this, who actually raised this boy and gave him a beautiful life, have a beautiful family? Or does Brittany win? She's back in federal prison. So was it all worth it? I say justice for John. And whatever he did at 20 years old, I am so thrilled that we didn't have social media when I was 20 years old. You'll hear about it in the book, okay? Forget it. I don't think I'd be sitting here right now. So I happen to like John Fuda. I love that he was from Elmwood Park. And so I'm going in on it. I'm going all in. I'm not justice for Brittany. Anyone who says it, I really think you should do a deep dive and understand how when someone gives up their child and chooses drugs and whatever else over them, I don't think they deserve your respect or the justice. I wouldn't even tolerate someone giving up a dog, which I spoke about Raquel from Beverly Hills, that I villainized her because she gave up her dog. I didn't care what else she did. They all cheat. They all do all this bullshit. She gave up her dog, and instead of giving it to James, she gave it to a shelter. And thank God the shelter knew by some guy, what was it, a chip?
A chip.
And they called Lisa Vanderpump. Okay, so the dog went to James. And the dog hasn't bit anyone since. So I was going to give Raquel, Rachel, whatever the hell her name was, I was going to give her a pass. Not for that. Can't give her a pass for, I'm all about my animals. I have 7 dogs.
And tell us where Bentley's name came from.
Oh,
one of my
Bentley.
favorite stories.
So when I was with my significant other who passed away, he had gotten me a Bentley. And I drove a Bentley, and then my son wound up being our driver. He was adorable. He'd wear his hat backwards. He was only like 22, and he would take the Bentley home, and he would pick us up and drive us all around, and I used it too. And when he passed away, they came and took his Bentley. Okay? I'm not going to talk about who they are. You could imagine who they were. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to get a Pomeranian because I always wanted a Pomeranian, and I'm going to name him Bentley. So now I still have a Bentley. And it's much better. Little fluff ball Bentley, who I absolutely adore. And, I don't really care about Bentleys. I'm happy. I'm happy with the car I have. I'm happy with my townhouse where I live. A simple girl with simple needs and my 7 dogs. So when you see me on my white rocking chair, the dogs are all over me. And as you've seen a couple times when Scarlett comes behind my head. And I know that you will want to see me back in my pajamas. So I spoke to Andrew today as soon as I walked in because I really want to give them what they want. Of course. Lorraine, I really do. So I promise you that I'll be back in my pajamas. And by the way, if there's anyone who wants to sponsor me, for pajamas. I would love that. And what I also want you to do is I also want you on Patreon to tell me all your favorite names of your pajamas. Like maybe show me them, show me pictures of you in your pajamas, because this is really something I never expected. Here I am thinking that everyone's going to be like, oh my God, she can't even put makeup on and do her hair. She's in her pajamas, but you like that. So we're going to do that again. Andrew will send me a link and I'll do it from my white rocking chair with the dogs in my pajamas. But I do like the studio. It's a lot of fun. So I'll do that here and I'll do that there. What else you got for me, Lorraine?
I don't know, Kim. We really covered a lot.
I
of
know,
stuff. Is there
I know.
anything
And we
that
don't
you
want to
wanna-
give you too much,
I
know.
I know. So we went over. Is there anything new that you know that's about to come out? That
Well, today was the baseball game, the softball, the baseball game.
I love that, Dolores.
And I found out that there was, I think I got the number. I think she had 45,000 people there.
love it. It's
That,
a great
good-
cause.
Listen to me. One thing about Dolores and I go way back. I don't do a lot of charities. I really should. But I do things for animal rescue. This girl puts herself out for every charity you could imagine. Her daughter was just in Africa saving the giraffes. She had to wear a bulletproof vest that Dr. David bought for her. He's a lovely man, by the way. I've had dinner with him. He's a great guy with, friends. I happen to like him. Dolores is with Paulie now. I respect that. But David was my friend before, and he's going to stay my friend. I do have some inside scoop about Frank Catania and Joe Gorga and everything, but I'm saving that for next week. So the baseball game is today. I hear that there's not a lot of drama. I hear that Fessler's bringing a little bit. I think somebody saw Rachel Fuda crying. And I said, whose ass do I have to kick if they're going to make my Rachel cry? Also was told that Margaret has asked certain people, why does Kim D hate me? This is directly to you, Margaret Josephs. I don't hate you. I don't hate anyone. I've never hated anyone in my whole life. Thank God. Because that's tough to live with. Jealousy and hate. So I don't hate you. And on this podcast, I'm going to give everyone a chance. So we're neutral right now. Now the ball's in your court. I was also told after the Aldo's night by those girls to come and say hello next time I see them. So there's some interesting things happening. But again, I don't want to give it all away, guys. I want you, there's going to be some teasers but I have a lot more to give. And everything I do here, you're going to be the first to know. Okay. A couple of people asked me, are you going to be on YouTube? Yes, we're going to be on YouTube. Are you going to be on Spotify, Apple? Not yet. We are building this up. You have to understand, I'm not, they're like, well, Melissa has one that you don't have to pay for, and this one. Well, Melissa is in a different bracket that I am financially. I'm a single person. My son doesn't, his father passed away. My boyfriend passed away 10 years ago. I have to support myself. I have to pay Andrew for the studio, which is fair, right? People that work with me. I think Lorraine should be compensated, maybe. I'm like, yes, she is. So that's why, that's why you pay for Patreon, for me, and to get the inside scoop. And honestly, I'm starting to love you guys already. Like you're going to be part of my family, and I'm going to read everything that you tell me, and anything you ask of me, I'm going to put out here. Okay. I'm not going to be distanced from you in any way. If you have a question, you're going to ask. So that's what I'm offering you, to join my Patreon. And I think you're going to get a lot of inside scoop, and you could bet your bottom dollar. I'm not going to lie to you, but I will give you my opinions, especially when the show starts. So if we don't have anything else, I think we had a really fabulous show. And there are going to be we'll put some excerpts on YouTube. And again, on my Patreon will be the direct text that took place between me and Kumasi Kyan. That's what I'm going to call him. I'm not going to give, that's what's his name in Italian. What's your name in Italian? So I'm not going to give him any more publicity or anything that I already haven't given. Okay? I am not bitter about it. It was a stepping stone for me. I'm here in the studio now with my friends. You'll get to meet all of them. And do you think I'm bitter about it, Lorraine?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. When I was ready to walk away, I think the thing that happened with Jen pushed me over the edge. I needed to hear that from someone
I
else.
also think the other side started swinging, which we were just floored by.
Shocked.
Floored.
Shocked.
Like there was no reason for it.
Shocked.
Absolutely not.
I mean, one of the things, this is funny. So one of the things that was said to me, when I was invited to the house, the townhouse in the Hamptons. Don't come if you're not going to take off your shoes. No, I'll take off my shoes, but excuse
Since when?
Mom, if you're not going to take off your shoes, like, could you imagine like me having a party, whatever? Don't even come to my party if you're not going to take off your shoes. Can you please take off your shoes and put, maybe that's the nice way. Like, I have my floors can be scuffed. Nobody takes off their shoes. I have 7 dogs. You don't take off your shoes in my house. Even though I know it's disgusting. People say, oh, you should really, there's germs and all that. I grew up with germs in Elmwood Park. We didn't know any of this kind of crap, okay? So I'm not concerned about people taking the, but that was one of the things. Oh, on a regular basis, I was told you better wake up early tomorrow because you'll be fired. Oh, okay. So now that all this is done and said, that I'm a scum and all this. I forgot to say this. I'm wondering now, I'm going to end the show with this. I'd like your feedback. I'm wondering, since I'm all these names, I'm the Big Bad Wolf. Big Bad Wolf Kim. Kim D. Instead of Kim D, Big Bad Wolf. BBW. Why did I have to get up at the crack of dawn every Saturday morning? Barely drink my coffee. Had to ask to go to the permission to go to the bathroom. Okay? Why was I there every Saturday morning? Why? I don't get it. Why me? Why was my name on the Saturday morning Patreon? Why was everything else free but to listen to the Big Bad Wolf who forced this person to do everything? Why would people pay to hear that since I'm so bad? So I'd like you to think about that because I was scratching my head for a while. I want you to answer it. What do you think, Lorraine? What do you think's going to come back?
I don't know. The
I think I'm going to
agitator.
end with that. And I want some answers, guys. I want to know why I had to wake up so early. And I had to know why if I didn't, I was going to be fired. And why I couldn't drink my coffee and I had to ask to go to the bathroom. Okay? With that said, thank you so much for listening to my first Patreon. I hope that you loved it. If you didn't, tell me what I did wrong. I want to hear. And there'll be a lot more scoop, a lot more things that I have to say. But honestly, I mean, I really think that we covered what we wanted to. Did I miss anything?
I have no more that we can discuss
Yeah.
until.
And, next time, I think what I'm going to do is I'll go through a couple of the stories that took place on the Housewives. I didn't want to overwhelm you. Okay. So I think the next podcast, I will go over a funny story that happened at the original Posh when Danielle came to my first Christmas party. And I'm going to have to stand up and show you something on camera about what she did. And the Glam Fairy, I think you all know who she is. She was like really tiny little girl, sweetheart. She did my makeup back then. You remember the story. And it was my first Christmas party, and I was so excited. It was my Posh Christmas party, and all my the biggest customers and my friends were all there. And Danielle comes in and she says,